this year's was tricky because always the midseason list had the new draftees on it. You don't have that this year. So it's you get an opportunity, and you've had so many people. Probably I can't remember a year we've had this many people graduate. So it is chock full of guys that typically would not be on a top 100 list.
Can I ask you a question about one player?
Sure.
Is Dylan Cruz in your top 100?
He is not.
Okay.
But we can talk about how far outside the top 100 he was.
Okay, so he was part of the equation. He just wasn't part of the final result.
He was part of, he didn't. It wasn't that close, but there were other people closer. But yeah, why do you like him so much?
Man, because he's tearing things up at LSU. He's looking like a real player. Potentially, in my early estimation, we could be talking elite.
Could be. I mean, obviously he is. There'll be a list, Timmy, of the guys that are going to be drafted. He'll be in that list. So
yeah, and I know Yamamoto isn't on the list, so I'm not even going to ask.
No, he's not on the list. There's not a Japanese player or an Asian player to be seen. I do not believe. Seiya Suzuki is eligible. I just didn't. I thought that was ridiculous to put him on the list. So he's not there. So. Though technically, I think he is still rookie eligible.
Yep, still is, yep.
All right, Timmy, here's question number 4. Order these young pitchers for who you would want to roster for the rest of the season, and then the same question for his career. First is George Kirby, Hunter Green with Cincinnati, Mackenzie Gore, and Ronzi Contreras. I put the stat lines in there, Tim. In fact, they're ERA for Kirby is 4.08, Hunter Green 5.66, Mackenzie Gore 3.34, and Ronzi Contreras with 2.76. And they've got strikeout rates. We can talk about them as well. How would you order them?
For this year, Ronzi Contreras number 1.
Wow.
Mackenzie Gore number 2.
Wow.
George Kirby 3, Hunter Green 4.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was tough. It really was. But one of the things when I'm looking at this year, I think Contreras is going to play right through until the end of September. You look at his workload in the minors, okay, and he pitched a lot of innings a couple of years back. So I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be overly conservative with him. Mackenzie Gore.
Plus the Pirates don't know what they're doing, so they'll just play him, and his arm will fall off. Oh, okay, no problem.
Tommy John, 2 years from now, he's with the Yankees, and he wins a Cy Young. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore. I know his past couple starts have been iffy, but you know what? He is still only allowed 4 home runs on the season. Okay. 3 of those 4 home runs were allowed in a game at Mile High. My advice as far as Mackenzie Gore is don't start him when he's playing in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a mistake. He got absolutely hammered. But who hasn't gotten hammered at one point in time in Colorado?
Yeah.
Just about everybody has taken their lumps. And a young pitcher in Colorado, just don't start him in Colorado. But I sort of like Mackenzie Gore. Kirby, I don't think George Kirby will ever be as good a pitcher as Logan Gilbert. And what's Logan Gilbert, a 2? So Kirby's a 3. There might be concerns in Seattle about
No,
workload.
Timmy, when I put George Kirby on my top 100 list and he was in the 40s and 50s, people told me I was insane. The great John Dean, must be from West Virginia, said that
he is. He's in love with Alex Manoah. Yep.
George Kirby would be a number 1. He was going to be the best pitcher in baseball. And I saw him in college. I saw him in the minor leagues. The fastball is flat. Mm-hmm. And if you take a look at Baseball Savant, there's no spin on any of his pitchers.
Yeah, so I've got Kirby downgraded into the 3 spot. Hunter Green, I just don't think the Reds are going to overwork him over the balance of the year. I think we could see a lot of 4-inning outings. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean, like when we start talking about long-term, Hunter
Yeah.
Green's number one.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking that's where you would go. He's got the best arm of them all.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, none of them can throw strikes. Well, that's not true. George Kirby doesn't walk anybody, but the other guys all have close to 4 or over 4 walks per 9. But once Hunter Green starts to figure it out, he's going to be really good.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed in what I'm seeing from Hunter Green. Mm-hmm. Okay, hey, once he gets a little bit better control over where things end up, I think Hunter Green has the potential to be a top 10 starting pitcher.
Yep.
And even though I've got him 4th, and I think for the right reasons over the balance of the year, looking long term, he's number 1 on this list, and it's not close.
So give me 2, 3, and 4. Order them that way.
2, 3, and 4. Mackenzie Gore at 2, Contreras at 3, and Kirby at 4.
Interesting. Last Hot Prospect of the Week, which was recorded on Tuesday, I actually broke down George Kirby, Timmy, and compared him to Garrett Cole. So when Garrett Cole came out of college, it was the exact same thing. Threw hard, had some early success because people couldn't catch up with his fastball. But if you take a look at his spin rates back when he first came up, his fastball was flat. I mean, wasn't moving at all. He went to Houston, and all of a sudden we thought it was the gunk that they put on, and it could have been that the spin rate went crazy. It's gone down a little bit since gunk has been expelled from the game, but he still has great movement on all of his pitches, and why he's remained a very, very good pitcher. But it is eerie how flat George Kirby and Garrett Cole's pitches were, very close to identical.
Yeah, I think all 4 of these pitchers have the potential to be top 25 starters down the road. Okay, which ones end up there? Hey, the jury's going to be out. They all have flaws in their game that have to be corrected. But when I'm looking at long term, I'm looking at Hunter Green and that 103 mile an hour fastball or whatever it is, and the potential is closer, I believe, for Hunter Green to achieve the level of success associated with his skills than it is of the other 3.
Of those
Does that
4,
make sense?
Yes, totally agree. Of those 4, who goes first in next year's draft?
A lot is going to depend on what happens over the next 3 months. But assuming we were drafting tomorrow, Hunter Green's going to go first off the board.
Yeah, just go up potential. Timmy, let's go to the next.
Strikeout rates.
I have the same thing with 4 hitters, and these aren't famous hitters. Well, these aren't famous hitters, Timmy. These are rookies that are having really good seasons, and I want you to order them for the rest of the season. Same question for the career. This one's going to be really tough. Oscar Gonzalez with Cleveland Indians. 8 home runs, no stolen bases. Strikeout rate is good. Walk rate, he never walks. Brendan Donovan, Timmy, 2 home runs, 2 stolen bases, but he's hitting .307 with a .411 on base percentage. Obviously a very good strikeout to walk ratio. Jack Zuwinski, when I wrote this up, he had 12 home runs. I think he hit another one last night. He's got 13 home runs, 2 stolen bases, strikes out 32% of the time, walks 8% of the time. And then Luis Gonzalez with my buddy Lamonte Wade coming back. We'll see how San Francisco deals with that. He's hitting .302 with a .361 on base percentage, 3 home runs, 7 stolen bases, 21% strikeout rate, 8% walk rate. Order those guys for me for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there's one thing I wanted to mention, if I could. There is a 5th guy that didn't make your list that I would have ranked above all 4 that you have on your list, and that's Michael Harris in Atlanta.
Yeah, so I know that. I would as well. But these are the 4 that you have. I would have had Bobby Witt Jr. on it and I would put him one. And I would have. I went with guys that never made a top 100 list, and it was like. Okay, these are like surprise guys, and a lot of times
I just had to get my man crush from Michael Harris in there.
Surprise guys sometimes have great rookie seasons, and you never hear from them again. That's what I want to know. Like, what are these guys?
Okay, number 1 on this list is going to be Jack Zuwinski for
the rest of the season. Interesting.
Yeah, for the rest of the season.
With the 32% strikeout rate, you're still okay.
It's Pittsburgh. He could have a 62% K rate if he's hitting home runs. He's playing every day, right?
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah. So that definitely creates a bit of an edge for him, I believe. Now, Luis Gonzalez is hurt right now.
Oh, yes.
He's got a lower back strain. Yeah, he's got a lower back strain. He's on the IL, and the imaging is still to be reviewed. I'm going to assume that for this discussion, they're all healthy. Okay. I would have Luis Gonzalez at 2, Oscar Gonzalez, who also didn't play last night, and there's questions as to why. He would be 3, and Brendan Donovan at 4.
Is it the fact that there's Brendan Donovan is pretty much an empty statistical guy?
Well, that and the fact that he's sharing time with Gorman Thomas. Okay, so what happens there moving forward? I think Brendan Donovan is a fine utility.
Gorman Thomas? Nolan Gorman?
No, Nolan Gorman. Sorry, I get the two of them mixed up all the time.
It's like, wait a minute. Who is Gorman Thomas? Wasn't he in the 70s?
Yeah, it was in the 80s, Milwaukee.
80s, okay, there you go.
Yeah, he would fit into today's game perfectly because he was lots of miss on the swing and miss game, but could hit it 600 feet.
Okay. All right, so I thought I had a brain cramp for a minute. No worries.
No, I had one.
So I'm curious, Timmy. How do you order these guys long term? And I'll ask, do you think any of them in 5 years will be relevant?
If I'm looking at long term, I'm looking at Oscar Gonzalez at number 1, Gonzalez at 2, Zuwinski at 3, Donovan at 4.
All right, hold on. Gonzalez at 1, who's at 2?
Yeah. Gonzalez in San Francisco.
There's 2 Gonzaleses, of course. Okay. You said Gonzalez at 1, Gonzalez at 2. I'm like, what is he talking about? No, another Gorman Thomas reference that I. Okay, got it. Yes. Oscar Gonzalez 1, Luis Gonzalez 2, Brendan Donovan 3. Oh, Zuwinski.
Zuwinski 3, and I think Donovan's a utility player.
So, in 3 to 5 years, are any one of these guys going to be keeper relevant? Let's say keep half your team. Would they be keeper relevant?
I think Oscar Gonzalez and Luis Gonzalez, the Gonzalez twins, I think have potential. The other 2, if you're looking at keeping 15, I think the other 2, no. Because I think Zuwinski, there's always going to be problems with the K rate. Mm-hmm. And with Pittsburgh, all he needs to do is have a rough 2 months, and he could be back down to AAA, right?
Yep. I think all these guys could. Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly. The opportunities are there for Oscar Gonzalez in Cleveland, I think, to be a good everyday player. Okay, and I don't think he'll ever be a star, but I think he could be a 20, 25 home run, 80, 85 RBI type player in an offense that doesn't have that much competition. He's not looking over his shoulder if he can produce as he has to start his career.
Yeah, he's got the most upside, in my opinion. I mean, he's got a terrible approach, but that's they've got. I wish he walked more, Timmy, but some guys just don't.
Well, exactly, and so far he's looked very good. And again, it's Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Okay, who's behind him in the pecking order that's going to push him hard? He'll push himself.
Oscar Mercado. Oh, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
he's back up with Cleveland, isn't he? Or is he? I thought I saw some stats from him yesterday.
Oh, really? I thought he got DFA'd.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine the list of takers was probably limited. Let me just go to my hyperspeed computer here and see what it says about the other Oscar. Oh no, he's in Philadelphia.
Oh, the Philadelphia Phillies signed him.
Yeah, he's in Philadelphia. Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken...
That's interesting.
No, it wasn't. No, he's done nothing of substance in Philly for the most part.
But he's on the roster?
It appears so. He played June 30th, 1 at bat.
I like him better than Mickey Moniak. I know that you're a big Mickey Moniak fan. But it'd be nice to see. He needs